Dropdown, Leapfrog, Dropkick. It's the Dropdown, Leapfrog, Dropkick Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Golden Child, John Bivens. How's it going, everybody? It's the Golden Child, John Bivens, here with Chris Rapley on the episode 1 of the Dropdown, Leapfrog, Dropkick Wrestling Podcast. We're here today to talk about AEW Forbidden Door, happened last night. Chris, how's it going?
It's going great. And let me tell you something. Last night's show was amazing. Speaking of Forbidden Door, they slammed the door in the conference.
I think so. So we'll go ahead and get into the show. We started off, first match of the main card was MJF versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the AEW World Championship. Chris, what'd you think about the match?
I hate MJF. I outright hate MJF. And the sad part about it is I knew the end was going to be that. I don't know why, but I just hate MJF. I hate him with a passion, and that what makes him great. So the match, I love the match because I hate MJF. That's what he do. He makes people hate him. You hate him so much that you start loving him. It's like Ric Flair. You know, when I'm an older guy. You're a young cat. I watched Ric Flair and I hated Ric Flair, but at the same time I did want to be Dusty Rhodes because Ric Flair was a winner by all costs.
Yeah, you weren't alone in hating MJF. Seems like pretty much everybody there in Toronto did as well. The match overall, I have to say, for my taste, was I don't know. I think I came in with a higher expectation than what they were able to deliver. It's been pretty well documented. Tanahashi's really beat up at this point in his career. Has gone through a lot of hard matches, and he's got the G1 Climax tournament coming up. So overall, I'd say it didn't exactly live up to what I was hoping for, but it was a very old school match. So they worked it. MJF tried to work around Tanahashi's weaknesses, and but the crowd ate it up overall. So I think we started off with, I think what most people would agree between this and the women's match was the weakest match of the show.
Excuse me. And I meant that was intentional.
Cut right there.
Well, no, I ain't cutting nothing. First of all, what you're not going to do is say the women's match was weak.
I didn't say it was weak. I'd say it was one of the weaker matches of the show. But
now, I know a weaker match, but we'll get to that later. We keep going.
Okay, so the second match on the main show was CM Punk versus Satoshi Kojima in the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament. First round match. CM Punk gets the win in 13:40. I thought this match was amazing from start to finish. And it was just basically because of the crowd.
Right.
Kojima was the most over he's been in probably 10 to 15 years. The crowd was decidedly against CM Punk, and they turned more on him as the match went on. The match saw CM Punk do such heel spots as the Hulk Hogan leg drop.
Yeah.
He did the whole listen to the crowd thing and went into the leg drop.
Didn't he did that on Collision.
I didn't see Collision.
Yeah, he did that on Collision when I think not mistaken, when they had the first match, when he came back. And I love the CM Punk FTR t-shirt. I'm going to order one. But yeah, and this is what I'm finna say. I mean, like you said, the fans in Toronto, they hated him from start to finish, and I loved it. I loved it because he wasn't trying to be a heel. But at the same time, they made him a heel, and they helped his opponent. It helped his opponent tremendously. But one thing they said that, what's his opponent's name? Because I don't know Japanese wrestling.
Chris doesn't watch New Japan.
I don't watch New Japan. But one thing I took away, they said this guy has won every match for the past 7 years with a lariat.
Lariat?
Yeah.
I cannot confirm or deny that.
Go back and watch the show. They said it. If Kevin Kelly said it, it's fact.
I think what he was trying to say is every time that Kojima has won, it was with a lariat. Not that he's won every single match, but that everyone he has won was with the lariat.
For the past 7 years.
I don't know if that includes like the caveats of like tag team matches and stuff like that, but
well, if Kevin Kelly said it, I'm going with Kevin Kelly.
We do celebrate Kevin Kelly here on the Dropdown, Leapfrog, Dropkick Wrestling Podcast. Love you, right. Kevin Kelly.
Love you. Give us a shout out.
So that was the second match on the card. The third match of the main show was Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr. versus Katsuyori Shibata and Daniel Garcia in a four-way for the AEW International Championship. Shorter match here, 11:15. Orange Cassidy retains. I think they said that this match ties Orange Cassidy with the most defenses of a championship in AEW with 25, tying Jade Cargill's record with the TBS title. So, Chris, what do you think about Orange Cassidy overall? The gimmick, it's been talked to death, but the people want to know what Chris Rapley's opinion on Orange Cassidy is.
You know, I'm a Jim Cornette fan.
Okay, you don't need to go any further. that pretty much that tells everybody.
I'm old school. I love Jim Cornette. Now, all jokes aside, when it comes to Orange Cassidy, him with that gimmick is really good because what I like to see is when he gets upset.
Yeah.
And get outside that and show that he really can wrestle.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen him in some matches that were just amazing. To be like, is that the same guy? And, I mean, he can go.
Yeah.
So, I'm a Jim Cornette fan, but I think, hey, he's a good guy, and I like him.
Well, I also think the debate on Orange Cassidy kind of ended whenever the T-shirt sales came in, the merchandise sales and things like that. I think that tells you what the general populace thinks of Orange Cassidy. And I think regardless of a lot of people's opinions on him, if he moves merch and he sells tickets,
that what matters.
That's what matters in the wrestling business. So that we move on to the next match of Sonata defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship versus Jungle Boy. Retains in 10:45 with a moonsault. I guess pretty much everybody's going to be talking about the angle afterwards, but briefly, what did you think about the match itself?
Hey, I'm like Sonata. He didn't even know who he was wrestling. He didn't even know. Jungle Boy is irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got very mixed feelings about this match. I've heard a lot of people say that Sonata doesn't have a lot of charisma as the IWGP World Champion. I think he presents his charisma in a different way, and I think he looked really good being in there with Jungle Boy. The size difference. Sonata's in amazing shape, and you don't really think of him as like a big guy or like a really, I don't know. He's always been in shape, but lately he's been in a lot better shape. So seeing him in there with Jungle Boy, he definitely carried himself as a champion, and it seemed to translate pretty well for the most part with the North American audience to me. From what I read of it, though, the main takeaway is going to be, what they do with Jungle Boy going forward and this whole thing with Hook. So, I don't know. How do you see that one playing out?
First of all, before we go any further, you and I was conversing last night. What did I call?
Oh, that's right. I did promise Chris. He texted me 2 seconds. I was watching on a delay. And so the moment that Chris texted me, he said, Jungle Boy's about to go heel. Watch it. And then that exact moment, because of the difference, I was 3 or 4 seconds behind on being live. And that's when Jungle Boy turned and laid out Hook with the lariat. So I told him that I would confirm that Chris did, in fact, call the Jungle Boy return.
And the thing is, when I say that, it's no disrespect with Jungle Boy when I say he's irrelevant. But now, I would like to see him, do something different. I would like to see him come with the harder edge, change the gimmick, change the outfit, change everything, and come out there as a real badass. And I'm thinking, and matter of fact, when he tell the fans this week, more than likely probably be on Dynamite, that, he's no Jungle Boy, he a grown-ass man, and he go by Jack Perry. And then you're going to come out there, you're going to have the little beard and everything. I'm telling you, going to have a beard. I wouldn't even be surprised if he cut his hair.
That'd be interesting to see. I could see them doing something like that.
Yeah. Remember, I said it first.
Either that or they do some type of stipulation where he gets his hair cut. I think that would be a good thing if you
Yeah, which means he's going to have to cut someone's hair. He's going to have
Right.
to have that gimmick where he start cutting people's hair and whatever.
Right.
And he start, and of course he could be talking about his flowing locks and stuff like that. But, I really feel that this is a breath of fresh air for his career.
I would agree. Just to circle back around, though, I would say one of my problems coming into the show with the lineup was how weak the championship matches looked on paper. Just the Sonata versus Jungle Boy, I think the results of those matches, that and the AEW World Championship match, the results of those were never in question heading into the show.
Right.
I think Sonata needed to be programmed with somebody a little bit stronger. Adam Cole was actually supposed to wrestle Tom Lawler on the show, but he wasn't able to due to illness. But if they put Sonata in there with someone more like Adam Cole or one of your guys that's closer to the top and further away from sort of the mid-card where Jungle Boy's been for so long,
Right.
I think that would have made the title feel more important and the show a little bit deeper.
Right.
Same thing with Tanahashi and MJF. I don't think anybody thought that Tanahashi was going to win that championship.
Right.
So I think you could have shuffled things around and thrown somebody else in there, maybe like a Naito or something like that. Would have made the show a little bit deeper overall. But I mean, it was a fantastic show, regardless.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Wrestle Talk. Shout out to Wrestle Talk. Matter of fact, my man gave him a 5 out of 5. Wrestle Talk. Show us some love. Okay, keep going. We like you, Wrestle Talk.
We do like you, Wrestle Talk. So coming up next was the 10-man tag with Hangman Adam Page, the Young Bucks, Eddie Kingston, and Tomohiro Ishii versus Moxley, Yuta, Castagnoli, Konosuke Takeshita, and Shota Umino. 21-25. Chris, did you love this match as much as I love the match?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you, my favorite in the match is always going to be Eddie Kingston. I mean, listen. His promos is tremendous. I never forget watching him in NWA when he told what my boy name?
The Pope, Elijah Burke.
When he told the Pope, Elijah Burke, "I leave you dead where you stand." I said, "Damn." So it's like, listen. I mean, I've watched Eddie Kingston promos and cried. I mean, I'm a grown man. But he's just that deep when it comes to his promos. And the match was tremendous, even with the turn where he came out there and saved his opponent because he was that, he's that down with him.
They were close.
They're close with John Moxley. And, John didn't give a damn about him. But, man, that match was amazing.
Yeah, too many big moves to recap, but everything was just fantastic from start to finish. I will say my favorite spots in the match were when Ishii and Takeshita were in there together, and they were trading the shoulder tackles there. And even though Takeshita is about a foot taller than Ishii and probably outweighs him by like 50 pounds, they were running into each other, and it was like they were the same size.
Right.
Ishii just like refused to go down. Then after they trade a few, Ishii pops back, like Ishii takes the bump off of one, pops back up, runs in, and gives him one. Crowd went nuts.
Right.
They were eating it up. And as a worker, that's something I love to see is when guys do just simple moves, but they frame it in such a way that it gets a huge reaction.
Right.
That's the goal of wrestling, is to be able to do cool stuff without killing yourself and get a reaction out of it.
Right.
And there was a lot of that in this match, so thumbs up from me. So that takes us now to the AEW Women's World Championship match. Toni Storm defending over Willow Nightingale in 10 minutes 30 seconds. So, okay, so what was the weakest match on the show, Mr. Chris? If it wasn't this one or the MJF match,
It have to be that 3-way match with. Was it 3 ways? I can't remember. I fell asleep on it with Sting. I love Sting, but I just thought it was. Yeah, I just thought that was the weakest match to me. I told you that in the text.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's in the text. Go back and look. I just, I know they had. Remember, I made the comment that I know they had to cool it down, but it just, I don't know. It just didn't do nothing for me. But the women's match was not the weakest match. And you know what? And maybe I'm, what do you say, a mark? But for some reason, I don't know why I thought AEW could pull the trigger and take the belt off of Toni Storm.
I thought for a half second they were going to.
For a half, yeah, kind of like.
When they did the spot where they threw out Ruby Soho and Saraya, Willow started to get in a little bit of offense there.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's a chance.
Yeah.
Because she's already got the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. And so I was like, they're going to just alter plans completely, and they're going to go, like, all the way with her and, like, really try and make somebody by giving her 2 belts at once.
Yeah.
You know, then work in Japan, work in the United States. Like, they're going to strap the rocket to her.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it.
No, they didn't.
So.
Especially after she beat, the night before in Collision, she beat Nyla Rose. So I was really like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, it looked like a little. And I know she could have beat Nyla Rose, but to have her go against a former champion, Nyla Rose, and it's like, I felt like that push was like, well, they might be setting something up.
Yeah.
It's almost like, it's not a swerve, but it kind of, to me, that way it felt like a little bit, because it's like they were pushing her.
Well, it is a little bit strange, too, because she beat Nyla Rose in the tournament match, but then she didn't win the World Championship, but she's still going to advance in the tournament. So, you know.
She could win the tournament.
She could win the tournament, and they could go to a rematch or something. I could kind of see that, since they did, like, the interference and stuff. Yeah. But that is one thing. I love AEW pay-per-views, but I think it was one of the shows that they did this year. I don't remember if it was, Double or Nothing or not. But they have done so much interference that I was, like, conditioned to thinking that there was going to be, like, a hardcore, like, interference finish. So I popped for when they threw Ruby Soho and Saraya out. But
and speaking of interference and confusing, we'll get to that in a few when we get to that match. I like the match. I love the match, but I'm confused with some of the stuff that happened.
Well, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. The next match, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega. You're going to ask why Don Callis came back at the end after the referee already threw him out, didn't you?
Right.
Yeah.
That's not even good psychology. I mean, he came back, got involved, and nothing happened. I don't get why even throw him out.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for it. I really don't. I mean, it played into the finish a little bit. I don't know. I think the rest of it was so good that I'm able to, like, tolerate.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
But
yeah, Wrestle Talk said the same thing. Shout out to Wrestle Talk. Okay, yeah, but yeah, they said the same thing, so I'm able to tolerate it. But it just didn't make sense to me. But and you know what? And I'm one of those guys that always be watching shows. And you saw how the cameraman had all black on. You couldn't see his face.
Yeah. I
so
did notice that too.
I kind of like, for a moment, I'm like, okay, is someone going to be in the camera and then help whatchamacallit retain? Because I know it wasn't going to be a clean finish, you know.
Yeah.
But I was like, So y'all keep our eyes open on how they use that cameraman situation. Because I'm like, oh, he looked like one of them that going to not be a real cameraman, but it didn't happen. They just let Don just come back out there with a screwdriver and pass it and stab a man in the head.
Did you notice, though, when Don Callis was trying to hand...
he couldn't get it out of his pocket.
He could not get that screwdriver out of his pocket for anything, and time stood still, and I screamed with laughter the whole time. Because, I mean, it was like, it was in, and then it was back out, and then in and out, and then he's just fighting, and the ref's just having to do that whole thing.
Ref got to be like, oh, damn it.
He's like,
Don.
come on, Don, just get the screwdriver.
Drive out. Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, there's not much that we can say about this match that I'm sure hasn't been said on about 10,000 other podcasts at the time of our recording already.
Yeah, but one thing I got, we work full-time jobs. I'm sorry. We're not like Wrestle Talk. Well, shout out to you. But we could be there one day, Wrestle Talk. But my thing was, when he hit the one-winged angel and Kenny popped out at one, I was like, wow. So I got a question.
Okay.
And this is psychology, since you're a professional wrestler like yourself.
Okay.
Do that make the move look weak?
I don't know. The way that I've always, like, thought about it in my mind is, like, you're taking the move, and so there might be some little ins and outs to, like, receiving it that because you've given it. And so like, hey, I try and drop people directly on the top of their head, so I'm going to tuck a little bit more, or I'm going to lean my shoulder in a little bit more so I can protect myself because I know how to do it, so therefore I know how to protect myself from it.
Okay. So
that's how I justify it. I guess it's just all a matter of taste and preference, but that's kind of how I look at things.
Okay. I was just thinking about, like, To me, I thought it would have been better if it had been a 1, 2, and then he kick out. I think. I mean, and like you said, it depends on your taste. Some pop because of that. I didn't pop because of it, but I would have popped more if it'd been like 1. Because I'm like, oh my God, 1, 2, and then he kicked out. That'd have been more for me. I mean, that's just my opinion, though. Who am I?
I think if you're going to do the 1 count kick out, though, I would rather somebody kick out of, like, their own move at 1 as opposed to the other guy's finisher at 1.
Yeah.
Because at least you can justify it in some way of, like, oh, he knows how to get out of the move. But if somebody hits you with their best shot and then you're immediately up at 1, that to me is when the waters get, like, a little bit murky. I mean, but it's all a matter of taste.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cross-promoted show with New Japan and AEW, and it's like in Japanese wrestling, there was a lot of that in the 90s, and I think even before that, they were doing the 1 count kickouts on, the big moves on the big shows. So I think it's just kind of all part of the game.
Bet you we can kick out a Stan Hansen lariat, though.
No, but would you kick out of a cradle from Tetsuya Naito as he and Darby Allin and Sting took on Minoru Suzuki, Chris Jericho, and Sammy Guevara?
Listen, I'm telling you, I just
spill about the match. Tell me all about it.
I watched what I could. I mean, I don't know. I just wasn't. First of all, it came on, and no disrespect to them, it came on after an 18-star match. 2 more stars is 20. Matter of fact, just give them 20 stars. It came after a match like that, and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm bad. I don't know. Hey, I want to go back for a minute. Now, what that move was that the guy that what Sonata put Jungle Boy in, where he tied the hands up and this, that, and then you kick him in the ass? What was that?
It's the Paradise Lock.
So that's a real thing? I mean, you can actually do that and don't move? Have you had that done to you?
I haven't had it done to me, but I've tried to do it, like, to myself. Like, you watch, like, you take the one arm, you put it under the leg and something like that. So there's, like, a little bit to it. But, like, Kevin Kelly always puts it over by saying, if you try and move your legs, your arms get tighter. If you try and move your arms, your legs get tighter. Now, that's completely phony. Like, that's...
You supposed to say phony?
It is. Okay. That's how it goes. But, no, that's one of Sonata's, like, famous spots. He got it from Milano Collection AT, who's a New Japan commentator. He was doing the stuff back in, like, the early 2000s. So
okay.
So he kind of inherited, like, the move from Milano.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I just wanted to go back because it just came across my mind. That's the stuff we do here on our show. We just go back and just ask a question and say, these are some great Foster Grant glasses. Anyway, keep going.
Thank you. I got them at Walmart the other day.
Wow.
For Fusion Pro Wrestling Feudal Meltdown 2023.
Coming soon to a video streaming platform near you.
I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it back.
Boy, y'all missed the bar burner. They set the seats ablaze.
So, okay, so you didn't like the 6-man tag?
No.
Okay. See, I don't know. Maybe it was late enough in the night. I'd had a couple margaritas. I didn't think it was that bad.
I had to go. Y'all don't judge me, because I know I use some language. But, but it's part of the podcast. I was in church like 2 times that day, so I didn't have a chance to take a margarita or drink or anything like that. Actually, I stopped drinking, for real. I only drank the shiny water. Nice the shiny water. This is...
Chris, we can't get sponsored by Dasani, Wrestle Talk, and whatever the other thing was you tried to shill for.
And iPhones.
And iPhones.
Yes. What kind of phone you got?
It doesn't matter.
We can't get sponsored.
Just keep going. Time cues, brother.
Oh, we got time.
Okay.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me check the time. He's the...
While he's checking the time, I'll say my opinion on the 6-man tag. I thought it was fine for the most part. I didn't catch this stuff. Like I said, I had been drinking, but I didn't think anything looked abhorrently out of the way.
Yeah.
That it just like completely took me out of it. I heard, the table spot with Sting, he was supposed to move out of the way, and he took the table spot and then got back in the ring and immediately made his comeback.
Yes. Now that thank you, cause boy. But what I did like though, I liked the conflict that Sammy showed. Like, I don't want to do this to Sting. That was good psychology. He didn't want to do it. He ended up doing it. And my thing is, go ahead. What you finna say?
I was going to say, and the announcers were putting over the tension between him and Jericho
right.
as well. They started talking about that, pushing that again.
So they started pushing that, and so maybe he did. If Sting would have got off, then would have got off the table like he's supposed to. But he probably tired. He's 80 years old. If he would have got off, Sting. But if he would have got off, like he's supposed to, then he would have missed it. Then they could have said, well, because of this and that was going on between Jericho and Guevara, that what led to that. But he hit it, but he got up. I was shocked too.
Yeah.
And you know what? And that's when I was a fan in the '80s of Sting, in the late '80s and early '90s. I kind of popped for that. 'Cause like, he's back. Then I realized why he got taken through a table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're gonna have a botch in a match like that. With Sting, at least it was him taking a move that he wasn't supposed to take and then, not really selling it. Because that's not entirely out of the Sting character to do that, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I know a lot of people have said that it came from when he had... he was putting on the Scorpion Deathlock in the middle of the ring, and Sammy Guevara came up with the cutter off the top, and he bumped his head pretty good on that one. And so that was kind of where the confusion came from, perhaps.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, that was kind of ugly.
It
looked awkward.
I was going to say it was ugly in a bad way in the sense that it probably hurt, but then it didn't look good either. Yeah. So if you're going to get hurt, you'd at least rather it look good. Get a moment out of it.
You're like, the hell with this. But Sting born again Christian, so he probably didn't say the hell with this. Okay, keep going.
That's true. Well, to hell with that match, and we move on now to the main event of Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan Danielson.
Listen. It's the final countdown. Okay.
They paid like 6 figures for that song, right? You heard about that?
They could have just paid me. I did a remix.
Chris does love to sing. As someone that spent hours on the phone with Chris, while we were both on the clock, by the way, and listened to him talk.
I still work for the same company.
I left that territory. I got out of that territory. Nothing personal. I just had you know how it is. The territory guys. You stay there a couple years. You got to
Telly and Arn right here.
Telly and Arn.
Don't forget, you might see me up there and make a territory.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. What'd you think about the match overall?
The match to me was like a great chess match, and so between the two of them, and then also, I mean, to many people, they might have their own thing, but it was very entertaining, and I really enjoyed it, and on top of it, to be honest, but I'm glad it happened. I was shocked that it was a clean finish.
I was too.
I was very shocked it was a clean finish. I was not. I mean, because you talking about some of the
guy,
the guy,
yeah,
for New Japan. So that to me that really shows what kind of working relationship that AEW and New Japan has.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, there's definitely going to be a rematch coming down the road. It was one of those matches that I expected Okada to win, coming in. But I was like, it would be good if Danielson won. But that's not usually how they do business.
Right.
So for them to do that, though, I think there's so much that you can do to get back to that. I think you can have, out of this match, I think you can do Okada versus Moxley, Okada versus Claudio, some form of a tag team match, Okada and a partner versus Blackpool Combat Club, which they've already been, dipping their toes in a little bit. But there's a lot of potential matches that come from Danielson winning, whereas if Okada had won, that pretty much would have been the end of the story right there.
So, we could be looking at Danielson going to Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, I've heard that one talked about before too. But I think that goes to speak about just the greatness of Okada in 2023. I think I was doing another podcast the other day, and we were talking about the trickle-down economics of Okada, because he's making stars in New Japan with Shota Umino and Ren Narita. He's making a star in Pro Wrestling Noah with Kaito Kiyomiya, the rivalry that they've had, going on and off. And then now he's making stars here in AEW. So Okada and great matches, the whole way,
Yeah,
obviously.
right.
So the great matches are just a given with Okada at this point. He's been doing it for so long. But he's affected so many different people in a positive way this year. So Okada's getting my vote for 2023 Wrestler of the Year. But,
And I remember watching Okada when he was Kato in TNA. When he was Samoa Joe's sidekick. So I to me personally, I just love how New Japan, bring their stars into into the business. They send them out, they get them trained, they come. I mean, from the lowest of low, pretty much.
Yeah.
And now look at this man now. It's amazing. I mean, every match. I mean, I don't know a match, and I watched some Okada, and every match I see is top of the line. So maybe he get all 5-star matches. I mean, I don't know, 4.25. I mean, he's always up. Yeah, but I was shocked and then he tapped.
Yeah,
That what really got me.
Yeah, it wasn't like an O'Connor roll or like a flash pin or something where Danielson just kind of sneaks one over on him. It was like, no, he gave up. So
yeah. This is gonna be amazing. Is our mic about to come down home?
There we go. That's good.
See, that what we do here in our show.
Cue back in from here, Chris. But
we're gonna keep running.
So yeah, I mean, I thought it was is an amazing show overall. I think the main event, obviously, I'm sure you've heard about Daniel Bryan getting a fracture in his arm.
Right.
So I think that kept it from living up to quite its full potential. But then also with Danielson going over, this is probably going to be the first match of a series. So usually in the first match of a series, you want to save a little bit for something down the road anyways.
So they're saying he'll be out 6 to 8 weeks. So he'll be back by the next pay-per-view, correct? Pretty much?
Next pay-per-view is September. So right now we're late June. So
yeah, he should be back.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah.
Which how AEW likes to announce their matches for pay-per-views. They do, the big match announcements sometimes like the week of.
So would he because the one in Wembley, when is that? Is that in August?
No, that's it's like first weekend of September, I believe.
It's in September? I thought they had one in August and then another one in September.
No, one's like the first weekend in September, and the other is All In is like first week of September. All Out second week of September.
Okay.
So
they're back to back.
Well, they haven't announced if All In's going to be a pay-per-view or if it's going to air on like free TV or if it's going to be like a streaming exclusive kind of a thing yet. So
wow. Have they contacted you about being booked yet?
They have not. No, it's probably some of them with visa issues because going over England. So I don't care for airplanes all that much. So yeah, I don't know if
But
if the money was right, Tony Khan, I'd be interested in reaching out.
Well,
but with that, I'd say it's a good time to go ahead and close things out here, Chris. I'm glad that we were finally able to get you here on camera.
Yes.
Kicking and screaming, but we got you here anyways.
And it's not going to be a lot of times. Only big matches. Only big shows. That's the only time you see me.
Big show, Chris Rapley.
Big show, Chris Rapley. I like that.
That's it.
It's the big show. Boom, boom, boom. Big. Oh, the rest of the song.
That was close. That was close.
We appreciate y'all tuning in. Man, we did it. Our first one. Man, shake my damn hand. Man, we did it.
I was giving you one of those worker handshakes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Brother.
What? He might chop me for real, and I don't want that. Y'all take care. We'll see you next time.